What's going on, folks? Femi the Agent, back on another episode of Sneakers and Real Estate, two of my favorite things that I love to talk about. Hope everyone had a good holiday. And we're going to get right into it because we have an esteemed guest, so I don't want to waste too much time with any nonsense and riffraff. As far as mortgage is concerned, 30-year mortgage today is 6.875. 20-year mortgage is 6.5. VA 30-year fixed, 6.25. FHA 30-year fixed, 6.125. So you know, right now still is a great time to buy a home. Anytime someone asks me that, it always really depends on what your situation is. If you're looking to buy a place and you need a place to live, now is always a great time. If you're an investor, slim pickings right now because you have a lot of people that are looking and everybody's kind of outbidding each other. So, as an investor, you're trying to watch your dollars and you're trying to watch the return on the investment. So right now for you may not be a good time. You may just want to wait a little bit. In the coming months, you do have a lot of deals that are going to be coming up the pike. So as far as sneakers, I want to kind of get right into it for anyone that thinks that I just have Jordans and nothing else. I wanted to bring out something special. I have the New Balance, the 997s, No Bad Days. This is a dope collaboration with Bodega and New Balance. And, everything about this sneaker I like. They come with 3 pairs of laces. You have the suede on the front. You have the suede in the middle. Great colors. Brown, like a new buck. Really dope shoe. This is a shoe that you definitely need to break out on foreign soil. So I definitely took these to Jamaica to break them in. But very comfortable shoe. Anybody that has New Balance, I have a couple of pairs of New Balance. I think 3 or 4 pairs. But definitely a comfortable shoe. Anybody that has wide feet, this is always a great shoe to get. But this collaboration with Bodega and New Balance, definitely a dope collaboration. They actually these dropped in 2020 actually, and anybody who knows what was going on in 2020, we had the pandemic going on, so I think the name of these shoes, definitely fitting for what was going on around that time. But this pack actually came. They made 3 pairs of these. They have a trilogy pack, so if you're lucky enough that you can grab that, it's a must-have if you can get your hands on all 3 pairs. I only have these. I will be seeking out the other 2 pairs. I just didn't want to take out a loan to buy a pair of sneakers, so that's why I don't have the other 2 pairs. But definitely, like I said, a dope shoe, dope collaboration. Usually with any sneaker, any collaboration, for the most part, is always going to sell out really quickly. You can still find these online somewhere, but like I said, dope shoe. If you don't have a pair of these, you definitely need these in your arsenal, in your rotation. And with real estate, I just want to jump right into it. I have my esteemed guest here, Sean Manning. We've been talking about this for a little bit. I definitely want to thank you for jumping on and coming in and talking sneakers and real estate with me.
I appreciate it. Very, very happy to be here. This is one I've been pumped for a little while.
Good. It's funny that we all, we have a watch club that we both belong to. And, we were sitting there at dinner just talking about a bunch of different things that just come to find out, you and I love a lot of the same things. So, it was a must that we had to jump on and do this.
I had to.
For those who don't know who Sean Manning is, those who are living under a rock, who's Sean Manning for the folks?
So I am a New York State licensed realtor with Realty Connect. I'm also the founder and team principal for the Over South team.
Nice.
It's a little business that I started dabbling in the investment side of things. Okay. Also have a team of growing team right now of 5 agents on the team.
Wow.
So condensed a little bit. It's picking back up. Things are gaining steam, so needed to kind of be able to supplement the new level of workload to add a few more people, so everything's picking back up.
Nice.
And I'm also 17 years been in law enforcement with the NYPD.
Nice.
And with local police department on Long Island. So I'm currently hold the rank of detective.
Nice. How do you find time to juggle all this that you're doing?
I said it before. People, anybody who's watched anything I've been on, I'm going to say it again. It's going to sound cheesy, but the Pete Davidson bags under my eyes, and,
Right.
and the gray in my beard is tells no lie. It's
Well, this
tough.
is why I don't have any here.
Yeah,
so,
I hear that.
Right.
I hear that. Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of move. I move around in the morning.
Right.
I grow it long enough to kind of spread the defense out.
Nice. Nice.
But no, it's tough. It's tough managing time. I have 3 kids at home, beautiful wife. So it's she's the general manager. she calls
she's the
the
boss.
shots. She's
Right.
the boss. She's at home. She picks up everything when I run out. So shout out to her. It's definitely not the easiest thing in the world managing two very full-time careers. Technically, real estate's part-time. I hate saying that because it's not a knock at the men and women who are out there hustling, putting food on their table, doing it.
Right.
And then here I am, doing podcasts and things like this, talking about my business, and I'm only doing it part-time. But you asked, so yeah, I do this part-time. It's a battle. It's challenging, but that's why the team is there to pick up the pieces.
To pick up the pieces.
Allow me to be in several places at once.
Nice. And how long have you been doing real estate? How long have you been licensed?
So I actually got my license. I took the test in January, I believe. Got my license and got situated. We'll call it late February, early March. So I've only been doing it 3 quarters now.
Wow.
And last quarter, I set a record in the company, finished number 1. And this quarter, I'm going back to back. So
Nice. Congrats on that.
Definitely pretty cool considering the pit bulls that work for that company and who, I've named them all, but I don't want to upset anybody, but I've done it. So the guys, the men and women who are out there, like really been there for years, like
Right.
crushing it, investment properties all over. I'm just trying to, to me, this is a bonus. I have everything in my life for my kids and
Right.
my family. So it's like, bonus is a bad word for me. I should take that back. It's more of a like an on top. It's kind of like taking things to the next level.
Right.
So like more of that famous, those 2 words that everybody talks about, generational wealth. That for
Right.
me, that's what it's about. For I have young kids. They're 8, 7, and 2.
Wow. Nice.
So this is more for them down the road, so Daddy could kick back and be wearing shorts 7 days a week, 365 days a year. At a younger age.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is smart. How much longer do you plan on going with the police department?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I mean, I love what I do there. I'm probably in one of the one of the more coveted positions and units that I work in, and the people that I work around, from the supervisory level to the guys who I work with.
Good.
You really can't beat it, and I'm very lucky and fortunate. I've
right.
bopped around in some really cool places, so it's like a quality of life thing that everybody says. When you're a city cop, everybody talks about your quality of life.
Right.
And there's some miserable people who are always going to be miserable, but then
Right.
there's happy people who get on the train and come back to Long Island like I did, and you're like, all right, that was cool, it was fun. I know the city like it's the back of my
your
hand.
hand. Right.
Yeah, it's cool. And we
Right.
talked about all that stuff, so I feel like I'm pretty well versed for being a Long Island guy my whole life. But out here, it's I really have to say that the way you're treated and just the general consensus of the whole department it's positive.
Nice.
And like I can't leave that. So like, and you also, I said it recently to somebody, you might miss the circus, but you won't miss the clowns. So like, I'm not ready to miss the clowns. So
Right.
I think that locker room mentality and the friendships and the people that you meet, that's it's going to be tough to shake. So
Well, that's
I'm 39.
golden.
I'm not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere,
Nah.
right? I think just like you said, anytime when you have when you're surrounded with good people, any job or anything that you're doing, it makes it very difficult to be able to step away from it.
Yeah.
Nice. And with your team,
Yeah.
how do you find it trying to manage so many personalities?
That's tough. That is probably the toughest thing. Now it's getting a little bit easier. When I first started with the team, it was more of I really, really needed the help because I'm still super green.
Right.
So for me, it was very tough to, accomplish all the different things that people are doing, in their normal 8, 10, 12-hour workday.
Right.
So I needed the help. So it was more like whoever was available to help me, I welcome with open arms.
Right.
And those relationships that I built and the stuff I've learned, I'll never forget. But now it's a little more homey. So like I have people, a few other people in law enforcement. I have a female on my team who's married to another police officer. So right. Everybody has the same, not that it's different than the next profession, UPS, FedEx, Home Depot, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But when you all have the same values and you experience the same stuff, whether you're in it or you're married to somebody or somebody in your family's in it,
right.
It's a little bit easier to understand when I'm like, listen, I'm not getting out of work till 3 a.m. Like, I really need you to go handle this inspection in the morning. You
right.
know, we'll work something
out.
Right. Exactly. So I think now it's getting easier managing the team than it was before that. And again, doing it part-time, there's no other way. I could try to do it without that, but I think my business in general would take a little bit of a hit. Yeah, right. And I'm not ready for that.
Well, I mean, you're smart about your approach with, doing it on a part-time basis, but also having people around you to help you. Yeah. What made you get into real estate?
So I've always loved just, sitting around and scouring the market. The Zillow app is probably one of my more commonly used apps. Right. And I know people hate hearing that because you inquire on Zillow and then it'll call me or Femi, and we're not right. But no, I did good with some investments. So nice. I bought some properties, did some work to them, fixed them up. They were primary residences, not even on like the fix and flip side.
Fix and flip, right?
And I'm like, wow, if I, market this the right way and I don't want to say stage, but have this property looking at in the pristine condition that it is.
Right.
I know when I bought and how I did because I try not to ever be a speed bump when I'm buying something.
Right.
But besides watches, but you know that.
That right.
Yeah, that'll never change. But I did good on it. So during COVID, like when most people thought of their craziest ideas as, I'd be walking around my kitchen working out, carrying Poland Spring jugs, which is a real story. Like my wife's looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, what? Just sit down. You just get fat.
We all needed somebody. We all needed something to do.
Right. I'll never forget, just to sidetrack Femi. I was sitting on the couch one day and I said to her, I'm like, my back my whole body is killing me. I have it. I have COVID. Like I'm not COVID crazy. I have it. I know it. What ended up happening was I was laying on the couch too much.
Really?
So it was, I was getting like that from Willy Wonka, the grandpa who couldn't get out of bed. So I was getting that. Like that was real life at 37 years old. Like it was from laying down. So, all right. So to bring it back to what we were talking about, I decided, my wife said, why don't you get your license? Like, why are we have this place in our family in Montauk that I usually rent out. And it was on my wife's side, and now it's become like a pillar in our family.
And your family.
Kids go out there, yeah. So she's like, get your license, and then we could stop throwing alley-oops to random realtors who have not, to be honest with you, I didn't have the greatest experiences, not with everybody, but I said, I'll just do it myself. And then I did it, and I have a buddy who's a New York City detective, and we've been friends for years, played football together, and he's been flipping houses. So I got together with him. We did a little something together out east and in the Shirley Mastic area, and we crushed it.
That worked out okay. Nice.
So I'm like, all right, this is great.
Right.
So like the jokes were like, oh yeah, one and done. That was cool. And now it's been wild. Yeah. So we're at like approximately 40 to 50 units sold for the year.
Wow.
The team, myself and the team, which is good. I only grabbed them and made this my little baby during the summertime. So, I'm pushing around like 35 or so myself, which is wild. And we're up over 20 million for the year in sales. So that is like next level. And not cocky. We talked about this. I just don't know.
Right.
So like I'm running around like this is wild. This is sick. And people are like, yeah, that's like really, really good. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know.
You don't know what is
right. You know what I mean? If you're playing, whatever sport it is, and you're 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving every game, like.
For you, it's the norm, right? Let me just push
right,
for it.
Right now, it's the norm. Right. So, but January and February are already setting up nice. So I hope it stays.
Nice. I think with the way that you started off and the people that you have around you, and I think just your mindset in general, we'll keep you on that pace.
Oh, yeah.
You have some people like, myself, my first year in the business, I only sold one house. So, working at a mom and pop, I didn't know anything 20 years ago. There was no training. There was nothing.
Yeah.
There was no information. So you didn't know anything. You were just kind of out there trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think for you, would you say part of the training and some of the things that you did, law enforcement kind of helped with what you're doing in real estate?
Absolutely. Just being a people person, like
Right.
you have to be able to sit. They always say, like if you can walk into a room and chop it up with a stranger, you can sell.
You could sell.
You
right.
could sell. Yeah.
Right.
There's other ways that guys have their way of describing it, walking into a bar and, the
Right.
rest is history. Sorry.
Right.
But so in this sense, for me, just being able to communicate with people and be normal.
Right.
I don't look at myself as the cookie cutter realtor. I'll never be that way.
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons, I made the decision to join Realty Connect, because you see a lot more of the successful businesses and teams operate under Realty Connect,
Right.
because John and the team, they do a great job of just saying, here, do what you need to do.
Do what you need to do.
Don't do anything stupid.
Of course.
But the leash is off to a certain degree.
Right.
So I think that it's definitely it's a great thing to kind of move that way. And the years of dealing with people in some of the shittiest situations,
Right.
It definitely helps when you put things and you decompress and you put things into perspective. Like Femi, if me and you were going to do an open house together and it doesn't turn out too good,
Right.
is anybody dying? Is anybody getting seriously hurt?
Exactly.
Is anybody going
There's
to jail?
worse things
no,
that
there's
could be.
a lot way worse things. So
Right.
for me, it's like I'm able to. I definitely lost a couple hours sleep on a few deals, taking a crap in July and August when those rates went bananas.
Right.
But especially long conversations with Eric, whimpering into the phone.
Right.
But for the most part, yes.
That happened to a lot of us.
Yeah, of course.
With the shift going on, you kind of have to talk a lot of people off the ledge, and you're trying to explain to them that things are going to be okay. But for us, for some, like you said, when it comes to some of the people that are penny pinching,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference. A couple of hundred on a payment, and not knowing where it's going to go.
Yeah. Just had this conversation walking in here with a client who, got Eric pre-approved her for a specific amount. It's a nice amount, but she really wants to stay under this budget.
Right.
And, it's the budget she wants to stay under. It's tough to find investment properties in that price. So,
Right.
But it's evolving and changing. And I feel like more than ever, I don't know, Femi, you've been doing this, I've been doing this a few hours. You've been doing this years. So, I'm sure you would agree that ultimately there's going to be more and more shifts. There's going to be ups and downs,
Right.
but ultimately it always works itself out.
It always does, and you know what happens with the business. You find when you're talking to a lot of clients, you start to share stories, personal stories of what you've gone through, for them to feel like, and for them to understand that these things that are going on now is normal, in a sense, and things, like you said, could be worse, but they will get better. And at the end of the day, if you need a place to live, or, if you're buying an investment property, you always look at the, you're playing the long game.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, at the end of the day, if you have to spend, the $4,000 or $5,000, whether you're paying rent or trying to figure out, do I put this into a mortgage or do I wait? At the end of the day, I'm always going to tell you it makes sense to put it into a mortgage because of the tax benefits that you can get and just all the different things that you can get, as opposed to you're putting it to something where you still have no control over it.
Yeah, I tell you what, Femi, it puts things into perspective too. Like for, with having the structured, I don't want to say 9 to 5, but getting paid every 2 weeks,
Right.
and benefits, and having the amazing job that I have outside of real estate,
Right.
It puts things into perspective when you talk about investments. And, there's some things that, I have that most people have. You have your retirement, you have your deferred compensation,
Right.
and all that stuff's great. But then I'll tell you what, very tough on a random Tuesday to get a check for 50 grand. So,
Yeah.
you know, it really puts things into perspective that as crazy as it may seem and the amount of realtors that are out there and a lot of people unfortunately are struggling,
Right.
if you can really wake up in the morning and utilize your time the right way and compartmentalize your life, you can hustle and make a killing.
Yeah.
So I think that is paramount, more the investment side and just the sheer ups and downs, but it's still, even in here we sitting in December, and you know, Tara from my team is at a closing in the Bronx. I have a closing in Sag Harbor in the morning. Like things are still moving, that's huge.
But you know, a lot of it, for a lot of people, they don't realize that a lot of what we do is all mindset. And once you start to want to hang around the people who, you know, you're noticing that the rates are shifting and you start to kind of want to ponder in that negative pool.
Yeah.
Everything is never going to get any better because that's the energy that you're putting out. You know, in the beginning, I never thought of that. And for me, it never really made any sense. But the longer that you do it, you start to realize that the energy that you're putting out is what's going to come back to you. And when you start to realize, or you're saying to yourself, listen, this is one way or another, I'm going to make this the best year that I've had in the business. You now have to kind of live up to that. If you're one of those people. I mean, you have a lot of people who just like to talk, and I'm not one of those people, and neither are you. No. But for us, it's the energy that you're putting out and the people that you surround yourself with.
Oh, absolutely. Like for me on the real estate side, my referral partners, my friends, like, you know, just getting introduced to you guys, it's been huge because now you have another set of people, eyes and ears, and a support system to say, hey, Femi, you ever have this happen before?
Right.
I had a dude recently who changed the commission on me after we had an accepted offer and the memorandum went out. Like that, to me, like
that's nuts.
In your years, like I'm sure you've come across it, but like I could say, hey Femi, you know, hey John, hey Raj, like can you, Lewis, have you ever had this happen?
Right.
Not that I can't do it with the people in my company, I
right.
can, but you know, there's also like there's always competition, and that's something that I'm just not used to here. And you have to be, but like I played sports my whole life, played football in college, played lacrosse in college, like still played football for years with the NYPD team and another law enforcement team, the Tri-State Shields. And it's like, that's the competition. Like that's the getting in each other's face and shit talking and having fun, but then, you know, drinking a beer after and going home. This is like, where did this hate come from?
Yeah, out of nowhere.
I've never experienced it, but you know, ultimately, it's the shifts are going to shift, and the people who are going to stay positive. I love. Oh yeah, I'm going to wait. It's going to get better. The market's going to crash first, and then it's going to go. What am I going to do if I'm going to argue with you? I'm going to tell you my educated experience and what I've learned and what I'm doing.
Right.
But that's where it bites me sometimes because, wait, didn't you just get your? Yeah, but I'm still a man and a human being for 39 years.
Right.
Like I still know I've owned homes. I own one now. I'm in my forever home. I'm not still searching.
I'm not still searching.
Exactly. So for real estate, it's a little easy to get your license and still hit slow down because you have to learn, but also. You know what a mortgage is. You know what a concession is. You know the different forms and the different products that are available that banks offer.
Right.
You know what the inspection process is like. So it wasn't as hard as me turning around and, all right, now I'm a home inspector.
Right.
Can't do that.
We can't do that.
I'm lucky if I can hang a picture frame in my house. Like
you and me both.
I pull the strings and say, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that, but I'm not out there swinging the hammer.
Right.
This is a little easier for me because if you've done a little bit of the process, like you've owned a home before,
it makes it easy to be able to, to delegate that and to give that information, like you said, to the people. You know, the ones that feel like they know more than us. I'm not, years into the business, I said to myself, I'm not trying to compete with that. You know, if I'm telling you that I've been involved in over 500, 600 transactions and you've done 3 or 4 and you feel like you know more than me, I'm never going to argue. God bless. Listen, I wish you the best. Because at the end of the day, for us, it's wanting to do business with people that want to do business with us. Mm-hmm. The ones that don't, there's a whole bunch of other agents that you can deal with out there. And I'm not trying to vie for your business because regardless of what I tell you, I'm still going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But like you said, when it comes to the business, if you're one of those people who can go out, like you said, you can walk into a room, just chop up and have a conversation with a random person.
Yeah.
It's always going to take you far. It's funny when you're growing up, your parents tell you not to talk to strangers. And when you get into the business, what's the thing that you have to do to be successful? You have to talk to strangers all day long.
Yeah.
But if you can do that, like you said, you can always, you're always going to be successful and also be yourself. I find a lot of people who feel like I'm the professional and I'm better than you, and I've never been one of those people. Yeah. To me, I never subscribe to that theory.
No.
That's just one thing that doesn't work for me. But also sidetracking from real estate for a second, a lot of people that don't know that you're a big sneakerhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, always. The guys at work on my other job, they how many shoes do you have? Do you need those? Like what? Like
they don't get it.
They don't get it. No, they don't. Very few. There are a few that get it.
I get it.
But very few get it. Yeah. So like I posted yesterday about East Bay. East Bay was
going
crushing.
out of business. Yeah.
Oh man, East Bay. I
that hurts my heart.
I got my first pair of Air Force Ones. Uptowns that we call them.
Right.
And I got my first pair of Uptowns from East Bay.
Wow.
Yeah, I was living out in Bellport, and the UPS truck. I feel like it took 3 months to come. Like you order something now, it's here in like 3
I need
days.
it right.
Like I think I ordered these shoes and I was growing out of them before they came, but I squeezed in there, popped the sole out, and
you made it happen for yourself, right?
They were the high top grays with the strap and the Carolina blue swoosh, and I
Nice.
wore those to death. Our lacrosse team in high school, the football team, very oddly, was red, white, and royal blue.
Right.
But in lacrosse, it was red, white, and baby blue. So the baby blue with the gray undershirt.
That kind of
yeah.
Okay.
So I got those, but East Bay was just crushing to hear. Like that's like a piece of your childhood. You get that magazine. Everybody had that magazine in their bathroom.
We all had it.
Everybody had that in their bathroom.
Right.
So I know the number 800-826-2205. I think it is.
See, I thought that was bad. I think it is 826-2205.
2205.
You're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was pretty wild. But I've always collected sneakers. I have a wild collection at home now. I showed you at dinner the other day my dunk collection. I'm big with dunks.
You're a big
I like
dunk
dunks. I like more low top. I'm getting old, so I'm going with the first floors. I'm going with the low
Smart
top,
man.
the low top
Smart
dunks. Yeah, the highs. I can't pull them off like I used to, but I like the low top dunks. They're comfortable. I have a wide foot, so they're perfect.
Right.
And my wife hates it. Now my kids, they got them for Christmas. I think I sent
saw
a picture in our group
yeah.
chats, and my daughters got them. They called them something wild when they asked Santa. I forget what they called them, like rides or like
really?
Yeah, like they didn't even know the name, but they thought it was one word.
It was something else.
It was something funny and cute, but I found them Stadium Goods. They had their size in stock,
right. Nice.
For the win.
Right.
But I've always been a huge collector. How
old were you when you started getting into sneakers?
Or very, very young. So do you remember the flea market out in, I think it was in the Roosevelt area? Do you remember the flea market in the outside, like the outdoor flea market?
Yeah. I don't know of the one in Roosevelt.
I don't know if it was.
Boy.
I'm pretty sure it was in Roosevelt. It was in Nassau County. It was deep.
Right.
It was by like Busy Bee. Like
yeah. Okay, yeah.
So they had this flea market, and there was this one dude who had this booth set up, and he would have like trading cards, he would have like jerseys, and I'm not talking like the foo-foo, AliExpress jerseys that people will buy.
He had the official.
He had like the
right.
jerseys, like you were spending $200-$300 back then. So this booth was where I would get my school shoes, and he always had. He like started to buy the smaller sizes, knowing that parents were taking their kids.
Right.
So I don't know how my mom and dad did it. My dad busted his butt, worked for Newsday for a very long time, great honest career. But when it was New York Newsday, going into Manhattan, Queens, and his dad was in Jamaica.
Right.
So. But they always people say, oh yeah, yeah. Everybody had their struggling moments. I have my family now. We have some moments where we probably can't do that trip or do this, but everybody's good. Same thing as a kid. Like somehow we had what we wanted, and I'll always tell my parents that to this day, that I will never forget stuff like that.
You're lucky.
Exactly.
When I was growing up, I had to go to Alexander's to get sneakers. I didn't get a sneaker box. They were stapled together.
Yeah.
So it was
the zip tie
with the little zip tie. So for me, it was a little different. But
my mom, she found a way. She always had part-time jobs that made it work. Like
Nice.
we might have not had everything, and we might have not had the most updated house and everything. We didn't have the nicest cars. We always had this staple in the
in the roof line.
We
Okay.
had the Tornado, the white one with the red roof, and
Right.
but somehow I had a nice pair of shoes for
Nice.
day one in school.
Nice.
So that just took to me. Diehard Knicks fan, diehard
Knicks fan.
LA Raiders,
My
Oakland
condolences.
Raiders.
My
Exactly.
condolences.
Last night was terrible, but so shoes have always been like a huge part of me. And then playing sports, my cleats. Like I had the first Jordan cleats that nobody had. I had them playing football at Bellport and then Stony Brook University. Nobody had those.
Nice. My daughter went to Stony Brook.
Okay, there you go. So it's always been in my culture. Now it's kind of tough because like at the gym, that's where I wear like, you know what I mean? Like doing stuff like this, like, and then not. I do a lot of business out east.
Right.
So you can get away with, some realtors will show up in flip-flops. I don't get to that level. But
I'll
never do that. Right. But I can
Some of them look like they're going rock climbing.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
I can get away with, somewhat of a nice outfit and then throw a pair of trendier sneakers. Almost like dinner nowadays, Femi. You go to dinner, it's like, where's everybody with the suit jackets? And
that's all gone out.
Now it's like you go to dinner and people are like, they got a pair of Dunks on, some skinny jeans, and a white T-shirt. And you're like, all right, I guess because of the watch you're wearing, that's permissible.
Yeah.
So anyway, I at the gym is where I wear most of my shoes now, but...
And you can't even really flex them at the gym because you need gym sneakers, but then you need the ones that you're going to wear.
Exactly. But what I was going to say was that the Yeezys were my gym shoe.
Oh, that was the go-to. Okay.
And now it's like, I don't even know what to do with these. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you got to be careful wearing those. So that's going to be a conversation.
Support anything that happened and transpired, but that's my go-to shoe.
Kanye's he's a nut. Right.
So I've had everything from his original releases. I bought and sold the Red Octobers, which I did great on. I got those. Yeah, nice. Yeah. So I have a very good friend, Jay Lacayo. He's a police officer upstate New York. He's at Jumpman Jay. You gotta follow him on social media. Right. And me and Jay have very similar taste. We bounce stuff off each other. He's got a sick collection, but we joke around like about the Yeezys. Like, what do you do with these at this point?
Yeah.
But the Dunks have always been my my go-to. Can I show you what I brought?
Yes, I definitely want to see what you brought.
All right. So this is on both sides of the spectrum. Yeah. So the first thing that we have here.
You see the Jumpman logo. You already know what that's about.
You know what that print is right here. That's a different level print. So
some threes, okay.
Yeah, so these are this is for people who are watching and for the guys at work who are going to bust my for weeks to come for the sneakers. This is my go-to.
This is your go-to.
1988. I was born in 1983. This is when my misery of watching Michael Jordan destroy the Knicks, I started to gain.
I was 9 years old.
Like 50 Cent said that he cheered for the bad guy, and you know what
I'm
saying?
Right. Like, we always
for me,
root for the bad guy.
I started to like. All right, the villain and the guy who goes out there like the Kobe's, it's a different level, So the cement threes were always a popular thing for me. Nice. So
and you got the OGs with the Nike on the back.
So this is what Femi knows, but not many people know. So you can have the cement threes, right? And these are brand new in the box, only tried on. So you can have the cement.
That means dead stock, folks.
Yeah, dead stock.
Right.
Yeah, these are not put on your bottom of your feet. Femi, tell me.
Yeah, those are crazy. Yeah.
So, but the different level. Now, these are not the original ones because they'd be broken down and yellowed. Right. But when they came back out with these about 4 years ago, I think it was, I jumped on right away and picked them up. So these are
I got two pairs of those in the house.
The Nike Air.
Yes.
No Jumpman on the back. These are the actual ones. The original 1988. That Jordan was wearing. So
when he went against Dominique Wilkins in the dunk contest. Yes.
Of course.
He had them on a white. Right.
Exactly. So you can get a multitude of colors, but my biggest thing always with shoes is it's like OCD. I have to get what the
original colors.
Yeah,
you and I are the same way.
I can't do it.
Yeah, you and I are the same way.
Seriously,
I'll dibble and dabble in some of the colors, but all the OG colorways is what I need in my life.
Like for the fours, for example, the Knicks colors, right? The military blues, the awesome, great sneakers. I wouldn't say that I didn't own them, but I own them and flipped them. Like I never, because I always go back to, and we talked about foam posits. So I'm a big foam posit guy. So for me, the penny blue foam posits.
Galaxy Blue, is that what they call
them? Yeah. Those are I don't want really anything else. I bought the all black ones just because all black, you can't winter season, you can't go wrong. But these are a pillar in my closet. And
those are the white ones. The white ones I have, I think 3 pairs. I have the free throw lines. I have the Justin Timberlakes.
Oh, okay.
And then I have the Tinkers.
Okay.
Yeah, but the original, the OG colorway is It gets no better than
You
that.
can't. I'm also big with the Kobe, so I showed you the Kobe 7, Kobe 7's
Sevens,
Christmas.
you
Yeah, the
showed me.
Kobe 7 Christmas. They have that like it almost reminds you of like the glass in a church, like the Christmas balls.
Right.
You know, I've always been big with the Kobe's. The yellow Bruce Lees were always crazy, but then I got something else which is going to take this to a whole different level, and I don't think you've ever had here. So, those of you at work who know, in the police department, these are the equivalent to these. We call these the Task Force 2s.
Okay.
So these bad boys, so these right here, if you have these in your closet and you do what I do on the other side of things, this is the
everything,
equivalent
the
of
holy
having
grail?
these. Yeah,
Okay.
these are the holy grail. So
Okay.
these
We learn something new every day,
these
folks.
are the Task Force 2s. If you see somebody wearing these and they're wearing, you know, a Mets button-up jersey or a Yankees hat with a jersey, they're probably a cop. Yeah.
Probably a cop. Okay.
But these are next level, family. So these also, like the off-whites, these are called the off-duties.
Those are the off duties.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what makes these amazing is that if in the rare event, and hopefully you never have to chase somebody, they are completely, let me pull out the...
Oh, wow,
show you.
okay.
Yeah. So they are completely...
Wow.
Yeah, have you seen anything like this?
No, I haven't.
They are completely flexible,
Wow.
waterproof. They got the cork insole on the inside, and probably one of the most comfortable shoes
That you'll ever see? Okay.
I will tell you,
Because I was going to say these look like the deal killer 10s for the real estate agents, but definitely not the deal killer 10s.
These are
Okay.
the inspection 4s.
The inspection 4s. Okay.
Yeah, the dads come and ruin the
Right.
deal.
With the tool belts?
With
Right.
the tool belt.
Right.
And I used to do construction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, licking the wall. So
Right.
I had to kind of, you know, shame on me for not getting crazy and bringing a whole bag of stuff. But
Well, we're gonna run it back, folks.
yeah, we will,
definitely,
and I'll,
because I know
we'll
your
try to
sneaker,
chop
your
some
closet,
stuff in
your
there.
closet's
Yeah,
a little crazy.
Is, a little wild.
So,
but-
what would you say right now is your how many pairs do you have in your collection? What would you say?
Right now, I'd probably say I got rid of some stuff. I say I still have a solid 50, 60 pairs.
60. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I would say. I mean, just dunks alone, there's about 35, 40 pairs of dunks. And
Wow.
then it's more than 50, 60 now that I think about it, because I still have most of my Yeezys. My brother is the same size as me, and he's not
Really?
he's big into sneakers, but not nearly
Not
as big
nearly
as
as
I am.
big, right.
So if I get something and I notice that like I wore it once, and you know you wear it once and it just you
It
don't like
didn't,
it,
right.
I'll always hit him up and he'll come by and he'll grab them. So, but the collection is still wild. If my wife, when she sees this, see, this is the new thing I have. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I get shit thrown out.
You do,
Yes.
and you're still married,
Stuff thrown out.
and you're still married.
So
Okay.
I get to the point where I come home and there's that black bag sitting by the closet, and I've definitely ripped open the bag a few
To see what
times
was going
and
on in there.
discovered some. Now, granted, there's a level of throwing out like, you know, a pair of Asics that you wear to the gym that are
Right.
clean. You could wear them out to dinner, but you
But-
also wear them at the gym, so you're not going to mix.
Right.
And then I'll find them in the garbage because I just bought a new pair and she doesn't think that I need to.
But you still need it
yeah,
for
yeah.
what you need it for.
Yep, and I bought like the nicer, instead of doing like the plastic boxes in and out, I bought like this cool IKEA insert.
Oh, okay.
Forever to come.
Okay.
And I have everything like tucked in there. I showed
Nice.
you the dunk.
Well, they have the clear cases too.
clear
I mean, I
cases
keep
too.
everything still in
Yeah,
the boxes, even though they said that's not really good for the sneaker. But
I mean, the shoe horns I bought from IKEA too. The big pack of like the shoe,
Nice.
the inserts that
Right.
go in. They have like the metal in the middle. It's
In the
like
middle? Right.
Yeah. So that helps. But yeah, now
anybody 20
So now
and
I have to,
under
like,
will
guard- I
have
gotta,
no
like-
idea what the shoehorn is. But
exactly.
that's right.
But now I have to like guard the closet.
Right.
Like that's a whole different level of like, you know, you got 2 jobs, you're being a dad, kids, but now I got to start like counting.
Right.
Like where'd those go?
Where'd those go?
Oh, they're in the garage. So that's my latest battle. But I wanted to bring something that has been since I was a kid. There isn't a day, no, where I've lived, what house, you know, before I was married, there was always a fresh pair and a beat up pair of threes. As a kid, you'd go on, you'd buy the specific white paint from Amazon,
Right.
and you'd paint the
And
soles
you painted,
and touch
right.
them up. With
And
the
you
foam-
kept a toothbrush.
Oh, absolutely. With
Right.
the foam posits, you take the tin foil and you'd clean the outside, and then you'd sit them in the sun so it would deoxidize.
It would deoxidize. We're giving you some gems today, folks.
Some
A lot of
but
gems.
2 jobs and hustling, I don't have to deoxidize too much right now, so
Right.
I'm very grateful for that.
Right, very
but I
nice.
had to show you the Task Force 2s.
I mean, I
be
appreciate
on alert.
that.
If you
Yeah.
see me and I got these on, I'm not
I
selling
know
houses.
what's going on. Okay.
I'm not selling
I
houses.
see you with those. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So, what would you say to someone that's I guess, working a 9 to 5 and looking to get into real estate, what would be your advice for them?
I would say that it's a great career to embark in. There's mornings early on that like it gets slow,
right.
and when you're not getting paid every few weeks, it's a little
it can
tough.
Be tough.
Like
yeah.
I worked at Reebok as a kid in the Bellport outlets. That's where I get my little discount when the Iversons were out.
Nice.
And the Insta Pumps, and like
I worked at Dr. J's, so that was the equivalent.
Yeah. So, but you have the paychecks rolling in with real estate. Excuse me. It's a lot of boom or bust and I'm just, your opinion may be different, but for me, just starting. Excuse me. There was boom and bust. You have some slow times, and then when it's busy, you're like, holy shit, I forgot. I got to do this. I got to be there.
Right.
So I would say that it's definitely still a great time to jump in and do it. I also think that when you don't rely on it, it makes it a lot easier to deal with the good and the bad.
Right. Right.
And that isn't always the case for people.
It's true.
I would say that if you
you know what it is. Sorry to cut you off.
Please.
You have a lot of agents that are working out of desperation, and unfortunately, when you're dealing with buyers and sellers, it comes across.
Yeah.
If you're someone that you're just giving somebody your advice on something, whether they're looking to buy or whether they're looking to sell, that also comes across, because at the end of the day, if you're there to guide them and give them honest advice. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, they'll be able to see it for what it is and for what it really is, and they can make that informed decision as opposed to you're trying to push them to do something because your car payment is due in a few weeks.
Yeah. See, that you can't. That's a whole different level of stress, and that I hope I never, knock on wood, have to experience.
Right.
But I will say, if you can get into it now, but you can if you could set yourself up and build a little nest.
Right.
Or have something that you can give you the benefits, that can give you the at least somewhat of a steady income.
Right.
There's nothing better. I say it all the time. I say it to some of the guys I work with. I have another guy I work with who's joining the team. He just passed his test.
Nice. Congrats.
So thank you to him. He's going to be joining the team too. And like that to me is kind of cool, because somebody who you might not have been able to get, not for him per se, but to go watch a game together after work, now is seeing what you're doing. It's like, okay, maybe the construction side of things, or that everybody has their side hustle. Right. This is a cool side hustle.
That's true.
But it also, for guys like you and a lot of the people that me and you are friends with, this is it, and this has been, you've been crushing it for so many years.
Right.
I can only hope that a fraction of my real estate career is as successful as
there's nothing. I mean, thank you.
I've said that to you.
Thank you. I appreciate
with
it,
the guys that, and I won't say who, but the guys that we have our group chat with and stuff. Like, I mean that when I say that. I was talking to John on the way here about something else, and like, to me, yes, that will, being what I am and getting that job at 21, 22, and working all over Manhattan and then coming out to Long Island, that will always be my number one, just because that's been it for me, and that has given me everything. Right. But to be able to do both and be successful at both, like I can't do shit half-ass. Like, I'm very crazy, crazy in a good way. I'm very impatient. I told Kevin on his podcast and James that impatience in real estate shouldn't always be a bad thing, because you should have that oomph to you got to follow up.
But the problem with us is 90% of our business is waiting. Unfortunately, we're waiting for this. We're waiting for the selling agent. We're waiting for the attorney. We're waiting for the home inspector. We're waiting for title company. We're waiting for bank clearance. So we're always waiting on something, like you said. Unfortunately, but I think for you, being so competitive or growing up that way with sports and everything that you did, transitioning into real estate, I think for you was easy and will be easy for you because of your dedication. Yeah. And with you going to NYPD at 21, did you do that at that time? You were looking for some sort of discipline, or what would you say?
Well,
or some sort of...
The truth of the matter is that I went to college. First, I was majoring in business at Stony Brook, and then left there. I was just not committed. Like, I was immature, and I wasn't as committed to the football program. As we all are at 18, 19, 20. And everybody thinks they're better than, well, at least me. My ego, I always thought I was better than what I was, because in high school, we were the powerhouse, and I was the quarterback.
Right.
So now you go to a Division I college, and they don't run the same offense that you were used to run.
You're used to, right.
Yeah, you see what happened to Russell Wilson right now. So,
Yes.
you start to get humbled pretty quickly.
Right.
And if you're not a man, you don't take the constructive criticism well.
Very
it's
well.
not going to do well.
Right.
It's not going to do. So for me, I was there and already asking for a release to be transferred before I even settled in.
Wow.
So, and I look back at that, and that's one thing I regret is missing out on that part.
Right.
I was in the same freshman class with Brian Karp at Stony Brook.
Oh, wow.
He
Okay.
ends up to go have a 4-year star-studded career there, and for how long my career has been playing semi-professionally with the NYPD team and the Tri-State Shields,
Right.
I look back and I go, if I would have just
Humbled
it out and
just-
humbled myself and listened to those coaches who have done more
Than
but I
neither one of us.
transferred, I
Right.
left. I went to LIU. I played lacrosse there on a scholarship, and I was better suited for that on and off the field as opposed to being like the field general
Right.
in football, and it was a little easier for me. So ultimately I think maturity is like the biggest thing. That's what it boils down to, is just being mature and being able to kind of run around and manage everything. And you make mistakes back then, but
Of course.
the NYPD taught me to grow up very
Very quickly.
I'll remember my first day, foot post, walking around Manhattan. Now there's some areas that were higher crime than others.
Right.
So I'm not sitting here telling war stories like I was in Kuwait, but
Right.
it's for a young guy who's never done this before. And my most serious job was stocking shelves at Reebok. It was eye opening, and I grew
And we're
up,
talking 18 years ago.
yeah, and I grew
Completely
up
different
very,
time. Yeah.
very quick. So the 6 years there was definitely eye-opening, and there were a couple of guys in my old precinct who left when I left to come out to Long Island.
Right.
And it's been, I came out here with a way different mentality. Going through the academy at 22 as opposed to going through the academy at 28, 29, even though it may seem like if you think athletically, you're like, oh, it just is a different level of dedication.
Yeah.
Like you could roll out of bed at 22 and do most
And do,
normal
of course.
tasks.
Well, remember we
Pushing
partied.
30,
We used to party all night,
yeah,
and
pushing 30 to do it. It was and having that salty, like I've done this before
Right.
mentality. That was also an eye-opening experience. But now, again, if you can't tell, and I think you're very similar, you got to compartmentalize everything and try to be. I always say I try to do everything on all Madden, because there's no other way to do it. If you don't do it that way, then what are you doing?
What's the point of what we're doing?
What is the point of doing it if
Right.
you're not going to go 100%?
Right.
So
yeah, for me, growing up, my dad, it was 5 of us, and my dad traveled a lot, and I always said when I was going to become a parent that I wanted to be there for my kids all the time, and that was one of the reasons that I got into the business, so that I could spend more time with them, and no one was going to watch my kids.
Yeah.
And, knock on wood, other than an incident that happened with my daughter when she was 1, when she was going to a babysitter and got burned on her leg, my kids were never watched by anybody. They were either watched by myself or my wife, or they weren't watched by anybody. Because for me, it was just, I was never going to be one of those dads where, you drop your kids off over here because you wanted to go party. You wanted to go do this. For me, it was always about them, and me leaving home when I was 17, I just looked at things completely different, the same as you. When you join the NYPD, it just forces us to to grow up a lot quicker. Me growing up in Brooklyn and being shot at and getting kicked out of high school and getting kicked out of junior high school, and persevering, you just looked at things a lot differently.
Oh, absolutely.
And it forces you, I guess, just as men, forces us to grow up quickly and, start to put things, I guess, in perspective.
I'm still growing up now. I still joke around all the time. Like people say, like, I love you're 39, but you're wearing, sneakers like these, and, you're like, I don't care. Like,
I do the same thing. I'm 48 and
why would I be like, I'm me. I'm always going to be me. You know what you're going to get. I have rhino thick skin. You can bust chops. I'm going to take it.
Right.
Every now and then you'll hit a spot.
But I'll give it back to you too.
Yeah. When you hit a spot, because I'll hit a spot back that I probably should have. But it's
does your face turn red like the Jumpman logo?
It does.
It does.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely tell you. The guys at work know, like, when, all right, guy, leave him alone.
Leave him alone.
He's having a bad day.
Right.
But no, I think ultimately, like, there's certain milestones in your life. And when my father told me that my sister really wanted to be a cop since she was a kid, she's a New York City police officer.
Nice.
And she he's like, you're taking your sister to take the test. She's 3 years younger, so she did it when you really should. You should start taking it at 18, 19.
19, right.
So I scored a little bit higher than her.
Nice.
We both got hired, but a few years apart. I got hired quicker.
Right.
So it's not that I didn't want to. I always had that in me. Nobody in my family at all is our police officers besides me. Nobody. I was the first one.
Wow.
So it wasn't like some, my dad, my grandfather, my
it was
aunts,
in the
uncles,
family, and you just followed suit.
Yeah, it wasn't in the family. I don't know. I just always wanted that. Like, how cool is that? How cool is it to jump on a train, go there, go work in the city, and help people? And it sounds cheesy, but I'm being genuine. Help people, and then come back home and talk about it with your family.
Right. Well,
It's
Jay-Z said
bit,
what? He said you drove past the fork in the road and you went straight?
Yeah, exactly.
And you basically did the same thing?
Hey, listen, exactly. So now to do it where you live and operate, and your family lives, it's a little bit different.
Right.
Different in a up and down way. Like it's...
Well, you're a staple in the community.
Yes, and also you have to really make sure you don't ever bring anything home with you.
Sure.
So it's different to jump on a train for an hour and a half and forget about everything, or come home and tell one cool story.
Right.
Now it's like, the neighbors ask you questions, the people at the supermarket ask you questions, and I market. And I never marketed. Some of the places I worked at before, I just thought it was a little bit of a conflict of interest to market. But where I'm at now, in community meetings, and
you're more involved. You're more
I'm
entrenched.
more involved. Yeah. So like it's a little easier because it's not. You don't have to intentionally be a little bit more private. I'm not saying I'm running around and planes are driving over my house sending smoke signals, but in the same breath, it's a little bit easier to do both now.
Right.
So, but that's where I'm at this point.
Nice. So where do you see yourself in the next? What's the 5-year plan for Sean Manning?
Okay. So I need to establish some sort of like generalized average of numbers. Like I need to see like where the market goes. I feel like the hustlers are always gonna sell. They're always gonna run around.
That never changes.
That's never gonna change. That's just, it's not. So if I can establish like a nice average, I'd like to, think about doing more of the investment side, like the passive income.
Got it.
I set a little mental goal of getting a property for each one of my kids this year.
Okay.
So if I could do that, I think that would be great, is to have 3 rentals running all at once, doing things the right way, making sure that the people there are taken care of, but also making sure the numbers work and it makes sense. Because ultimately, it's a business at the end of the day. It's got to make sense for everybody. Right. So I'm actively exploring that now. So
are you looking for rentals locally in Long Island?
I'm looking locally in Long Island family. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking for locally in Long Island, more of the multifamily variety, just because I just feel like doing this and working out there primarily, I think that there's a larger potential to kill 2 birds with one stone, for lack of a better term. So to have the ability to have people have a short-term or a long-term setup, not having to manage multiple single-family dwellings. If I could have 2 or 3 or 4 families.
4 families, right.
It makes sense more financially for me and my family, but it also makes sense that you can be normal and be reasonable and be generous with the return for what you give there. If I have to manage myself, I'm spread thin. If I have to manage 9, 10 properties, I'd rather manage 2 multifamilies.
Makes more sense.
I would be more of more assisting and doing well by them, than running around and not being able to handle stuff how I should. So
I agree with you when it comes to the multifamilies. I think just being a landlord in general, I have a multifamily in Hempstead, and that we actually just rented, and there was an issue with something really minor, but Christmas Day we were at their house. It was something minor. We took a look at it. We had it rectified the following day because, the handyman wasn't available. But, for me, I try to say to people all the time, I'm a human being first. And I don't like headaches, the same way that you don't. No. We try to approach things the right way. You own a property, instead of putting used appliances in there. I'm buying
Yeah.
everything brand new because I want you to be okay as well. You want to take care of the people that are there, make sure that they're comfortable.
Of course. There's a
But some
level
people
of
don't.
care.
Yeah.
There's a level of care that is unmatched if
Yeah.
you do it the right way.
Right. I agree. Okay. So we'll definitely be touching back on the sneakers because
This was fun. This was fun.
we
This was my
definitely
speed.
we definitely got a lot to touch on when it comes to the sneakers. But I definitely appreciate your time.
Always.
We talk, like you said, all the time off
Yeah.
on group chats and just on different things, and just a lot of respect to you for everything that
Appreciate
you're
it.
doing, and keep it up.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
And for anyone that's watching, if you're looking to buy or sell, definitely reach out to me, 917-337-3727. If you're behind on a mortgage, not sure who to turn to, give me a call. I can put you in contact with a lot of different people, so you don't just have to sit there and put your head in the sand and think that the problem's going to go away. There definitely is help out there, and reach out to me. I'm definitely here to help. Have a great day and stay safe.